Chapter 41. Do what you want to do. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 41. Do what you want to do. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations, You. Lan Yashin's face turned red with embarrassment. Would she dare to be so arrogant in front of old Mrs. Lan? They were bullying her because she was alone and they outnumbered her. She was going to tell Grandma so that she could teach her a lesson. Anren, Lan Tingyun walked in from behind and called out. He had heard everything they said just now. Yashin had been taught poorly by her parents and now, she was asking for money so blatantly. There was nothing wrong with what Anren said, so he could just pretend he didn't hear it. Dad, you're here. Lan Anren stood up. Second uncle, I'm here to see second aunt and to comfort sis. I know she didn't do well today and handed in her papers early. I was afraid she would be upset, so I came to check on her. Lan Yashin spoke kindly, but everyone in the room knew she was hiding a knife behind her smile. Anren, don't take it to heart, it's all right. You haven't learned this material before. It's not your fault, Lan Tingyun comforted her. Yeah, sis, don't be sad. Yanran didn't do well, but he is still happy. You can take the test next time. Don't worry, the Lan family won't collapse with me supporting them. Lan Yashin's words had two meanings. Lan Anren and Lan Yanran were being stepped on while she was the one worthy of praise. Lan Yanran was suddenly called out and felt a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and didn't say a thing. He cursed silently in his heart. What a b*tch. Lan Tingyun was a little embarrassed. His children were good at fighting, but now, they were being ridiculed by a little girl. It was embarrassing. I'm not sad, I'm just worried that someone will be upset. Remember not to come empty-handed the next time you visit. If your family doesn't have money, go and earn some. It's meaningless to pester your parents every day. My mom isn't as bad as you think. If you're done, you can leave. Lan Anren spoke bluntly. Lan Yashin was at a loss for words. The family did depend on old Mrs. Lan for food and drink, so she had nothing to refute. There was no point in staying any longer, so she smiled. All right, second uncle, second aunt, I'll go back. Grandma is worried about you, so I'll report to her when I see her. Lan Yashin didn't mention the incident at all, as if it hadn't happened. She stood up with a smile and left. She had just turned around when a malicious gleam appeared in her eyes, completely unlike the gentle and kind Lan Yashin. She was furious and cursed Li Yueru in her head. What a shameless person. She borrows money so righteously. Lan Yanran looked up. Yanran, today's test, you, Lan Anren pulled Lan Tingyun aside as he was about to ask. Dad, let me tell you something. Don't let Yanran stay in the medical department. He isn't good at medicine at all. Instead of being ridiculed every day like this, why don't you let him do something he likes so that the Lan family can have another talent? Yanran is a smart child, he will definitely be outstanding if he can do something he likes. But he is the only male heir in the Lan family. Your grandma had high hopes for him, but he is such a disappointment. If he doesn't become a doctor, what will happen to his inheritance? Lan Tingyun frowned, troubled. Dad, the children of the Lan family don't just have to be doctors. Yanran fails every exam and in school, he is scolded every day and bullied like trash. Isn't that an embarrassment to the Lan family? It's impossible for him to become a top student now. He likes to act and wants to study acting. Just let him be. If he doesn't do well, he will know that studying medicine is for the best when he comes back. The Lan family not only has Lan Yashin, there's me too. Dad, you have to believe me, I will bring glory to the Lan family. Lan Anren spoke patiently. Lan Tingyun looked at Lan Anren with doubt in his eyes. Yanran wasn't good at medicine. Instead of embarrassing himself in school, it was better to let him challenge the world. Perhaps he could succeed. Anren seemed like a child who didn't know anything, but she had tenacity and self-confidence. She might really succeed. It didn't matter even if she didn't succeed, the Lan family wanted this kind of spirit. Alright, Yanran, after the pharmacy competition, I will help you apply for a leave of absence. Do what you want and remember not to embarrass the Lan family. If you don't do well, come back and be a doctor and work towards your inheritance. Lan Tingyin's tone was solemn, but to Lan Yanran, it was filled with fatherly love. Thank you Dad, thank you sis. You're the best. Lan Yanran hugged the two of them excitedly. He had never been so happy. Lan Anren looked at her mother happily and smiled. This feeling was great. Mo family villa. Mo Jinrong was reading in the study room when Mo San walked in. Young master, Mr. Mo is here. He is waiting in the living room to see your condition. He's here. Mo Jinrong placed the book in his hand down, adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, raised his head, and spoke with a deep gaze. Young Master Mo, if you don't want to see him, I'll chase him away now. Mo San was just about to turn around when Mo Jinrong spoke softly, yes. Why shouldn't I see my uncle since he has come to see me? He stood up and strode out. Mo Changwen was sitting in the living room, waiting for Mo Jinrong. He wasn't here to show his concern, but Mo Jinrong's sudden recovery wasn't good for him. He wanted to see if it was true. Chapter 42. Whose life is harder? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 42. Whose life is harder? Uncle, why are you suddenly here? Mo Jinrong buttoned his shirt with both hands, sat down, and crossed his legs. Jinrong, don't say that. I went to the hospital to see you and the doctor said that you had left. Why didn't you wait for me? I went to see your mom, but she said she didn't know anything. Everyone was worried, but you didn't say a word. What is the meaning of this? Mo Changwen reproached him. Uncle, since my body is fine, it's natural that I'd leave. I had a lot to do and couldn't wait for you. Mo Jinrong smiled. Jinrong, we're just concerned about you. I won't say anything if you're pretending in front of outsiders, but why are you pretending in front of us? If you're really ill, you can't just stay put. We need you. Mo Changwen said. Uncle, is that why you're here today? Mo Jinrong's voice was cold. I heard that you are going to marry the young lady of the Lan family. Is that true? Mo Changwen probed. It really has nothing to do with you, uncle. Is there something that bothers you? Mo Jinrong smiled. He had always suspected that his previous 5 wives were murdered by Mo Changwen, but he didn't have any evidence. In fact, he didn't intend to marry any of the 5 wives. His mother thought that he should have an heir for the Mo family, so she forced him to marry, but it just so happened that all of them died. It was too much of a coincidence. After his wife died, there were rumors that he jinxed her. Mo Changwen had always coveted everything in the Mo family and he was the biggest suspect. Nonsense. I did not do anything to her, your wife has nothing to do with me. Jinrong, I advise you to be careful. I'm your uncle, how could I harm you? It's just that I heard that the young lady of the Lan family isn't a kind person. Mo Changwen spoke seriously. Oh. Uncle, you know of her. Mo Jinrong didn't care. Miss Lan will jinx her husband. Legend has it that when she was born, the house was in chaos and countless chickens and ducks died. Even old Master Lan's health wasn't good and the Lan family's business plummeted. I don't know if she had anything to do with old Master Lan's death a few years ago, but are you sure you want such a person to be the Mo family's young mistress? Mo Changwen spoke alarmingly. I don't care, I also seem to be a jinx to my wives anyway. It'll depend on whose life is tougher. Mo Jinrong smiled. Jinrong, you have to think for your mom. The entire Mo family will have to depend on you, you can't do this. Mo Changwen spoke sincerely. Uncle, if you're here today to promote superstition, then please leave. I have a lot to do and don't have time for you. Mo Jinrong stood up and turned to go upstairs. Mo Jinrong, I tried to persuade you, but you won't listen. You'll regret it when the time comes. Mo Changwen glanced at Mo Jinrong angrily. He eyed Mo Jinrong and had a bad feeling. How did he get better so quickly? Mo-san, see this guest out. Mo Jinrong went upstairs. Mr. Mo, this way please. Mo-san spoke politely. Humph, ignorant fool. Mo Changwen buttoned his shirt and strode off. It seemed like he would have to give him a few more women to try. After Mo Changwen left, Mo Jinrong sat in the study room, his mind racing. Young master, why do you think Mr. Mo was here today? Mo-san asked. Why else? He's here to see if I'm really feeling better, but I don't think he believed me today. Help me hold him back for the next few days. I'm afraid he'll find some people to test me like before, Mo Jinrong reminded him. Mo Changwen had given him many women in the past. If Mo-san hadn't stopped him, he would have ascended to heaven and seen the king of hell. Mo Changwen probably couldn't wait to see him die after living for so long. Young master, Miss Lan should be the one to do this. It's most reasonable for her to do so, Mo-san suggested. Wasn't it normal for the wife to fend off any lurking women? Mo Jinrong nodded. That made sense, and it was time to find her and talk. Is there news from Rong Zhe? Mo Jinrong suddenly remembered that he had a mission. Master Zhe just sent a message saying that the fish has taken the bait and is waiting for you to start the game. Mo-san smiled. Xiang Tian is quite useful. Let's spread the news that Xiang Tian is discussing a deal with someone in the Autumn Museum. Let's see if we can lure in our target, Mo Jinrong said. Xiang Tian had never seen anyone before and this was the first time news was exposed, so it was inevitable that many people would come. If Q wanted to know whether the news was real or fake, he would definitely go and see for himself. When the time came, he could capture all of them and use money to buy them over. Yes, young master. But Q is so cunning, I'm afraid he won't go by the rules so easily, Mo-san was worried. Since he accepted it, it means that he is very interested in the 10 billion yuan. When the time comes, give him a higher price. Humans die for wealth while birds die for food. Who has a grudge against money? Mo Jinrong smiled as he picked up a cup of tea. Young master, when are we going to see Miss Lan? I heard that her mother has been ill recently, should we visit her? Mo-san asked. Sick. Let's go tomorrow. Mo Jinrong lifted the lid, blew on the tea, and took a sip. Chapter 43. Luxury car at the school entrance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 43. Luxury car at the school entrance. The next day, Lan Anren went to school as usual. She didn't know that Sun Hui had exaggerated her story in the examination room and now everyone was looking at her strangely. Lan Anren, are you sure you can do it? If not, don't embarrass the experimental class. You were sleeping in the examination room and everyone knows it. If you can't do it, why did you boast that you could? When you go out, don't say that you're from our experimental class, we can't afford to be embarrassed by you. Lin Cheng was disgusted. Sun Hui was definitely behind this. How do you know I didn't do well? I might have even scored higher than you. Lan Anren smiled. Ha ha ha, a girl can be so shameless. Lan Anren, don't think you're so great just because you're from the Lan family. There are others that are richer than the Lan family. Don't cry when the time comes. Lin Cheng spoke disdainfully. We still don't know who will be the one crying. Don't be so sure, your results might not be better than mine, Lan Anren spoke triumphantly. Lin Cheng lowered his head silently. She was right. This time, he did not finish the paper and might not even pass the written exam. But at least he wasn't sleeping in the examination room. It's useless for some people to boast. This time, you can pack your things and leave. Sun Hui said confidently. She might still be second place, but Lon Anren would definitely be the last in the class, she could guarantee this. At this moment, the head teacher, Li Yu, walked in carrying a book. Everyone, sit properly. The results of the written exam will be out in a few days and you will know how you did. Next, let's talk about the interview, which will be about showing your medicine on the spot. Every year, Rongcheng will have cases of examinees cheating and bribing examiners to please them. Everyone, remember that if you do such a thing, you will be shamed by the school publicly and your name will be removed if the case is severe. Don't take the risk. Noel and the pharmacy competition can't be cheated and can't be faked. This time, a foreign examiner will be here as the judge. Don't think that you can deceive a foreigner, he has a doctor's license. Understand? Got it, teacher, the students spoke in unison. Yang Qing and Gu Qiu thought that their teacher was exaggerating things to scare them. There was a pharmacy competition every year and many people were caught, but there were also many who weren't. Most importantly, they were racking their brains. What were the odds that they would be the ones who were caught? This competition will determine whether you can be admitted early to the Rongqing Medical Research Institute. You will be in your third year soon and those who want an internship will be awarded bonus points if they go to the Medical Research Institute, they might even be recruited. Even if you weren't admitted into the institute, we will still give you bonus points and it won't be too late to enter then. Li Yu's gaze fell on Lon Anren. She heard that Anren had fallen asleep in the examination room. It seemed that her results weren't very good. She would have to wait until the results were out so that she could enter the ordinary class. Lon Anren could feel the teacher's passionate gaze, but she didn't avoid it. Instead, she stared straight at Li Yu, causing her to feel a little embarrassed until she retracted her gaze. The day's classes finally ended. Lon Anren and Zhao Xiaolei carried their school bags to the school gate and saw many people gathered at the school gate, pointing and whispering. They didn't know what was happening. Zhao Xiaolei loved to join in the fun. She squeezed forward and saw a Bentley parked at the door. The driver was very handsome while the person in the front passenger seat looked hideous. She suddenly found him familiar. Wasn't he the man who saw her at the window last time? It's so annoying. That man outside is here again. It seems like he likes me, but he doesn't even talk to me or pass me a love letter, he just looks at me in a daze. Do I have to take the initiative to talk to him? Zhao Xiaolei was embarrassed. Her upbringing was a little strict. Her mother had taught her from a young age that girls had to be reserved, or else no one would want them when they grew up, especially the daughters of the Zhao family. This way, the Zhao family would maintain their dignity. Lon Anren inadvertently saw two men through the gaps in the crowd. Wasn't that Mo Jinrong? Why was he here again? She turned to leave and saw Lon Yanran looking at the Mo family members with a disgusted expression. What are you doing here? Lon Yanran was upset. This brother-in-law wasn't a good person. He hadn't even visited his mother and sister once when they were ill and yet, he still had the cheek to come to school. Wouldn't it be a joke if so many people saw him? I'm looking for your sister, Mo-san spoke bluntly. I heard that Mrs. Lon was ill and my young master specially came to visit. He thought it would be better to go with Miss Lon and decided to come over to pick her up. Mo Jinrong's voice softened, but it was still indifferent. Go away, you are not welcome here. Look at what you have done to the school gate. It's great to drive a luxury car, but it wouldn't be good for my sister. When the time comes, people will say that Lon Anren, the school beauty of Rongqing University, is a big shot and my sister will be bullied online. Lon Yanran had many girls by his side. Although he didn't like anyone, he knew how girls felt. He couldn't let his sister suffer. Mo Jinrong thought about it and agreed. This was a university and some people would definitely be jealous of Lon Anren. Hence, he drove further away and got out of the car with Mo-san. Chapter 44. What she had was gone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 44. What she had was gone. What are you looking at? Let's go. Lon Anren pulled Zhao Xiaolei to the side. Zhao Xiaolei looked at Mo Jinrong reluctantly, then turned, and left. She had never seen such a handsome driver. The two of them parted ways at the bus stop. Lon Anren called Lon Yenran and asked him to come find her. Sis, did you see that person? Lon Yenran walked over and asked. He wasn't willing to call him his hideous brother. In law, it was too embarrassing. Lon Anren nodded, wanting to leave as soon as possible. If the gossipers in class found out that Mo Jinrong was an ugly monster who drove a luxurious car, they would definitely mock her. She nodded. The bus arrived and she was about to board when a beautiful voice called out from behind, Lon Anren. Lon Anren knew she wouldn't be able to avoid it today, so she turned and smiled, pretending to be surprised. What are you doing here? Miss Lon, young master knew that Mrs. Lon is ill and specifically wanted to visit her with you today. It was a little presumptuous of him to park the car at the entrance. Sorry for that, Mo Jinrong apologized politely. There was a gleam in his eyes and his gaze was gentle. You knew it was presumptuous, but my mom's illness is about to get better, so it's too late for you to visit. Lon Yenran was furious when he saw the ugly monster. Yenran. Mr. Mo, I'm going to the hospital to see Mom, let's go. Lon Anren thought it was a good idea to let others see the two of them together. Otherwise, if they registered their marriage and didn't get along well, it would raise suspicions. Lon Yenran followed behind reluctantly and got into the car. Mo Jinrong's car was large and spacious, with a sofa and air conditioner inside. He had never sat in such a nice car. The hospital. When Su Yenshan heard that Li Yueru was ill, she said that she wanted to visit, but the truth was that it was the end of the month and her family didn't have much money. She wanted to ask for some living expenses, so she beat around the bush. Big sister. In law, there's no need for you to bring anything, Lon Tingyun spoke politely. I have to, or else people will talk again. Yashin isn't sensible, I know she came and probably didn't bring anything. I hope you don't mind. Su Yenshan was very eloquent and Lon Yashin had talked to her at home, causing her to still hate Lon Tingyun's family. It's alright, she's still a child. Li Yueru smiled indifferently. Yueru, are you alright? Su Yenshan was concerned. It's okay, much better, don't worry. Li Yueru continued, you have to take care of your body. It's the end of the month and old Mrs. Lan's condition is getting worse. If you fall ill, Su Yenshan stopped midway and gestured for Lon Tingyun to hurry up with the money. The mother and daughter were identical, both people who only recognized money. Lon Tingyun understood what she meant and casually took out a bank card, handing it to Su Yenshan. Sister. In law, I'll pay for Mom's retirement fee this month. Yueru is sick and the hospital is very busy. I won't be going over. Can you help me give this to Mom? Li Yueru saw this, but didn't say anything. They had to give old Mrs. Lon a portion of their money every month and she had gotten used to it after a while. Su Yenshan accepted it without hesitation and smiled with satisfaction. It's alright, I will pass it along to Mom. Yueru isn't well, Mom will understand. Just then, Lon Anren pushed the door open and smiled when she saw Su Yenshan holding a bank card. The beggar is here. Dad, how much money have we given her? Anren, what are you saying? Although Li Yueru felt that Su Yenshan was greedy for money, it wouldn't be good for sisters. In laws to quarrel too harshly. Mom, am I wrong? Isn't she a beggar? Hasn't she taken enough money from our family over the years? Lon Anren wasn't afraid at all. Anren, you have no manners. I'm here to see your mom. Your dad gave me the money, but this is for old Mrs. Lon. What kind of person do you think we are? Su Yenshan was dissatisfied. You know very well what kind of person you are. Don't you often use sweet words to ask grandma to give you her retirement fee? Over the years, you have spent a lot of her retirement fee. Do you dare to say that you won't take a portion of this money? Lon Anren seemed to know her next step. This was Su Yenshan's usual method. Once the money was in her hands, it would be hers. Yueru, Tingyun, I don't have such intentions. If Anren believes this, then I don't want the money. It will save others from saying that I'm hoarding the money. Su Yenshan felt wronged. Sis.in law, don't. Lon Tingyun was just about to speak when Lon Anren heard this and smiled. Okay, then I'll take the money back. Lon Anren quickly snatched the bank card from Su Yenshan's hand and a trace of hatred flashed in Su Yenshan's eyes. When she saw that the money she had on hand was gone, she couldn't take it lying down. Tingyun, you took the money back. If Mom asks, I had no part in this. Don't worry, I will send the money to Grandma herself. You don't have to worry. Lon Anren smiled triumphantly. Chapter 45. The Awkward Su Yenshan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 45. The Awkward Su Yenshan. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translation. Su Yenshan was so angry that she saw stars. She clenched her fists tightly, wanting to rip Lon Anren into two. Suddenly, her gaze landed on the two people behind her. One was ugly and looked to be in his 40s, while the other was extremely handsome, but dressed very normally. These two are, she asked curiously. Sis.in law, let me introduce you. This is young Master Mo Jinrong, his driver is beside him. Lon Tingyun was a little embarrassed. His son.in.law was almost the same age as him, so he was too embarrassed to say anything and couldn't even lift his head. Su Yenshan was overjoyed. Mo Jinrong was too ugly. It was as the rumors said. No matter how eloquent Lon Anren was, her life was miserable. She wasn't looking for a husband, she had found a father. She suppressed her joy and smiled. Young Master Mo, seeing is believing. I heard that you and Anren have registered your marriage. When can we attend your wedding? Mrs. Lon, this is the key to the West Court. Remember, young master promised you a villa, so you can move in any time. Mo Jinrong handed the key over respectfully, ignoring Su Yenshan. West Court. It was the most expensive house in Rongcheng and anyone who could live there was a well-known figure. Lon Tingyun and her had made several appointments to see homes, but hadn't been able to get anything. This girl actually obtained a villa in the West Court so easily. Even so, Su Yenshan knew that Lon Anren was married to an ugly monster because of the Mo family's money. When the ugly monster jinxed her to death, this villa might even be hers. Lon Anren took the key and looked at Su Yenshan triumphantly, putting it in her bag. Madam, it's our family time now. You can leave if you are finished with your business, Mo Jinrong spoke respectfully to Su Yenshan. Nonsense. They are my sister.in.law and my brother.in.law. How am I not a family member? There is no way you can chase me away. Su Yenshan was furious. She had never received such treatment, how dare a chauffeur speak to her in such a manner? Auntie, you've seen my mom already, so there's no point in you staying here. Are you perhaps thinking of taking the money back? Lon Anren looked at her and smiled. Su Yenshan gritted her teeth in hatred. She was here to ask for money and wanted to take advantage of Lon Tingyun. She didn't expect Lon Anren, that brat, to refuse her at all. She had no manners. Lon Tingyun, look at what your daughter is saying. Aren't you going to discipline her? Does she still respect me? Su Yenshan scolded Lon Anren. BDNV, Auntie, it's best that you go back now. My mom's illness has just gotten better. She will be upset if you make a fuss, Lon Yanran spoke softly. This is outrageous. You little rascal, how dare you bully me? Lon Tingyun, don't think that just because your daughter is married to the Mo family and has the backing of the Mo family, you are untouchable. Let me tell you, there is no way you are going to bully me. Su Yenshan continued to chatter. Mo Jinrong's head buzzed from the sharp voice. Madam, I remember that old Mrs. Lon is well known in the medical field. Are you her daughter? In law. When Su Yenshan heard the chauffeur's question, she didn't know how to reply. Zhao Shumei was a big shot in the medical field and was known for her pride. If she admitted to it, it would be an embarrassment to old Mrs. Lon and she would definitely be scolded. Su Yenshan shook her head, looking embarrassed. No, then why are you still here? Mo Jinrong asked. Lon Tingyun glanced at the chauffeur. He was handsome and quick-witted. It would have been great if he were actually Mo Jinrong. Su Yenshan was stumped, small flames blazing in her eyes. Sorry, Mom, I just heard that you were ill and came a little late. Mo-san noticed the situation and went up to ask about Li Yueru, ignoring Su Yenshan. Li Yueru was a little embarrassed. This person was almost as old as her and she wasn't used to him calling her Mom. She forced a smile and nodded. This is a little gift from young Master Mo. Mo Jinrong took some boxes and placed them on the table. Su Yenshan looked at the brightly colored box. It wasn't pretty at all and it was so small, so there must be something worthless inside. I've made young Master Mo spend too much money. I'm feeling much better. Li Yueru smiled. Mo-san opened the gift box, revealing a dazzling ruby pendant. This is red coral. You can clear your eyes and stop the bleeding by wearing it. Mo-san smiled. It must be very expensive. I heard that red coral is very expensive. A good one costs tens of thousands, the nurse said from across the room. Lon Tingyun was a little surprised as well. He didn't expect Mo Jinrong to do this for Anren even though he was ugly. It wasn't too much money. Mo-san didn't care. It wasn't his money anyway, so he didn't feel the pinch. The few of them chatted and laughed. Mo Jinrong stood in silence while Su Yenshan was left alone, looking embarrassed. What nonsense! She cursed silently and turned to leave angrily. Chapter 46. Money is not everything. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 46. Money is not everything. After a while, the Lon family felt that Mo Jinrong wasn't bad, even though he was a little ugly. Mo Jinrong couldn't stand such a heartwarming scene. Feeling a bit uncomfortable, he left the room. Lon Anren could tell that Mo Jinrong didn't look well and remembered that in her past life, he loved quiet and didn't like noise. He probably wouldn't want to experience such an occasion again in 8 lifetimes. But if he wasn't really here to see her mother, what was he here for? Lon Anren followed him out. Butler Missouri, are you unwell? Mo Jinrong was just about to relax when he gave a solemn excuse, no, I'm going to the toilet. Butler Missouri, you're going to the toilet here. Lon Anren pointed to the corner of the wall behind her and smiled. Mo Jinrong leaned against the wall with a worried expression, as though he was anxious from holding it in. I'll go that way. Mo Jinrong gritted his teeth and turned to leave. The toilet is over here, Lon Anren smiled. Mo Jinrong turned back with an embarrassed expression. Lon Anren stood at the door, waiting for Mo Jinrong. Butler Missouri, are you done? Lon Anren's words embarrassed Mo Jinrong and his face started to turn green. How could the young lady of the Lon family be talking so loudly about the washroom? Mo Jinrong walked out unhurriedly. Miss Lon, this is a hospital and you are already the young mistress of the Mo family. You must pay attention to your image. Well, it's good that I didn't go in, isn't it? Tell me, why were you looking for me today? Lon Anren went straight to the point. A trace of surprise flashed in Imo Jinrong's eyes. How did Lon Anren know his purpose wasn't to see her mother? The day when I fainted, did anyone come into contact with him, or did you leave? He asked seriously. Lon Anren looked at Imo Jinrong's expression and guessed, is he looking for the person who saved him? He nodded. MMH. I did leave midway. Back then, I was going to find a car, so I left you in the classroom. What's wrong? Imo Jinrong was ecstatic, thinking he had found the answer. He was one step closer to zero. Did you see anyone, a woman or a man? He asked anxiously. No, I don't think so. Lon Anren shook her head in confusion. Imo Jinrong's face fell and a dark gleam appeared in his eyes. Oh right, your illness. Lon Anren only wanted to ask if Imo Jinrong's condition was better. Never mind, tell me if you remember anything. Imo Jinrong was a little disappointed. Mo. Butler, Missouri, don't be sad. Young Master Mo is so rich, you can tell him. He will definitely save you, Lon Anren spoke deliberately. She knew that Imo Jinrong had such an illness, but she didn't know that she was the cure. She thought that only doctors could treat such an illness, and Imo Jinrong chose to endure it so that his identity wouldn't be exposed. At this moment, her thoughts drifted. So what if he's rich? If I can't find her, Imo Jinrong muttered softly. What did you say? His voice was so soft that Lon Anren couldn't hear him, so she frowned. Nothing, I should go. Imo Jinrong walked into the ward as he spoke, while Imo San chatted enthusiastically with the Lon family. Young master, something happened at the company, you have to go back and deal with it. Imo San was laughing, but when he heard Imo Jinrong's words, he immediately stood up and spoke solemnly, Mrs. Lon, Mr. Lon, I'm going back for now. Goodbye. Why are you still calling me Mrs. Lon and Mr. Lon? You should call us Mom and Dad. Li Yueru thought that Imo Jinrong was ugly, but he was good with people, so she accepted it slowly. Mom, what are you saying? Lon Anren was a little surprised. It seemed like her parents regarded Imo San as their son.in.law. What should she do? What's wrong? Jinrong is very humorous and eloquent. He will definitely treat you well in the future. Lon Tingyun smiled. Alright, you can leave now. If you have something to do, go ahead. We'll talk again next time. Lon Anren chased him away. Imo San and Imo Jinrong were pushed out of the ward. Lon Yenran found Imo Jinrong strange, as though he was afraid of the driver beside him. He really didn't know who the master was. After leaving the hospital, Imo Jinrong got into the car. Young Master Imo, did you get any clues? Imo San asked. No, Lon Anren said she did leave. This person must still be in Rongcheng, Imo Jinrong said calmly. Young Master Imo, since she is in Rongcheng and was found here, she might be in the school. Who knows? Imo San's words reminded Imo Jinrong of something. Investigate the teachers and principal of the school. Yes, young Master Imo. By the way, Miss Lan's parents are really welcoming, Imo San reminisced. You seem to be familiar with them. Did you have a good chat? Imo Jinrong spoke coldly, sounding dissatisfied. Young Master Imo, you can't blame me for this. The Lon family insisted on chatting with me and I made a few jokes to make them happy. They seem to be very satisfied with me. Imo San smirked. Chapter 47. Becoming like a goddess. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 47. Becoming like a goddess. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations, I didn't let you pretend to be me to tarnish my reputation. Imo Jinrong spoke coldly. Got it, young master. Imo San was aggrieved. Was it his fault for being so well liked? How was the pharmacy competition these past few days? Mo Jinrong closed his eyes and leaned against the seat. The written test has just ended and we can't tell who is better yet, but Lan Yashin is the most favored, Mo-san replied respectfully. Lan Yashin. Pay more attention to her, our company needs some new faces, Mo Jinrong said softly. Young Master Mo, in the past few years, we have been searching for geniuses in the pharmacy competition. There are already many of them in the company, Mo-san replied. Over the years, young Master Mo had found the best contestants in the competition and privately contacted them with high remuneration to serve the company. The company had already assigned a large group of people to make medicine, so it was unnecessary to hire again. None of them are good enough. Mo Jinrong opened his eyes and looked out the window with a glum expression. But if the second daughter of the Lan family comes to the company, won't Miss Lan know about the Mo family's secret? Mo-san was a little worried. Boss Mo's company was a secret and everyone that entered had to sign a confidentiality agreement and a life and death contract. Would Lan Yashin leak the secret? If she dared to say anything, she wouldn't see the sun again. You need to keep an eye on her. Is there news from Rong Zhe? Mo Jinrong asked casually, adjusting his glasses. No, Master Zhe's whereabouts are unpredictable, he will come and find you, Mo-san looked forward and replied methodically. After Lan Anren saw that Li Yueru had drunk the herbal soup, she returned home alone and took out her computer. She was going to look for news online. How is it? Is there any news? Her slender fingers tapped lightly on the keyboard. Boss, there is something, but I don't know if it's reliable or not, the other party replied swiftly. Tell me about it. I heard that Xiang Tian is going to discuss a business deal with a mysterious person. Xiang Tian has always concealed his tracks well, so do you think this is a trap? The other party asked. Where did you get your information? It's from the old man from before. He knows us. Although he is well informed, we still have to consider the reliability of this information, the other party sounded worried. It's alright, whether it's real or fake, I'll have to take a look. We would be able to stop working for a while if we had 10 billion yuan. Lan Anren decided to take a look. Even if this was a trap, it was worth it for 10 billion. Sis. Lan Yanran suddenly pushed the door and Lan Anren quickly shut her computer, looking panicked. He had a vague understanding. As a university student, it was normal to see things they weren't supposed to. He smiled awkwardly. Sis. I won't disturb you, continue to read. Lan Anren looked at Lan Yanran's ignorant expression and knew that he was overthinking. What are you thinking about? Why are you back? She stood up and patted Lan Yanran's small head. Mom is asleep in the hospital and might have to stay until tomorrow morning. Dad will be fine alone. I've come back to see my goddess. Lan Yanran smiled. Goddess. Lan Anren frowned. Wasn't her brother not interested in women? There were so many girls in school that he didn't look at, and yet, there's a goddess he liked. Lu Sisi is my goddess, the most popular love of the nation. She is so innocent and I have all her movies and songs she filmed. I even know her lines. Today is her first live broadcast, so I will definitely support her. Lan Yanran was excited. Do you like her acting? Lan Anren smiled. Of course. It isn't just acting, she also does concerts. My dream is to act in a movie with her, preferably a kissing scene. I want to be a popular actor like her. It's a pity that this is just a dream. Lan Yanran looked forward to it, but was a little helpless towards the end. Don't worry, your dreams will come true. Lan Anren patted his shoulder. Lan Yanran was the school hunk and his looks were top-notch. It wouldn't be a problem for him to become a young hunk celebrity in the entertainment industry. Since her brother had something he wanted to do, she would definitely help him accomplish it. Thank you, sis. Sis, you continue with what you're doing, I'm going back to my room. Lon Yanran smirked. Lon Anran smiled back and closed the door. She turned on her computer and continued to type. Contact Luo Tian Entertainment's boss and tell him that we'll be sending someone over to be a trainee soon and to treat him well. Yes, boss, the other party immediately replied. Luo Tian Entertainment's boss, Xian Mu, was a client of Lon Anran. Because Lon Anran had saved his life, he was indebted to her. He was a grateful person and promised to do his best to fulfill all of her requests. Lon Anran believed that he was a person who would keep his promises. The next day was Wednesday. After Lon Anran finished her morning classes, she had no more classes in the afternoon. Since she had nothing to do, she decided to visit the countryside. Chapter 48. Deceived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 48. Deceived. Suddenly, there was a text message. Boss, the latest news is that Xiang Tian is in the Autumn Museum. Do you need backup? There's no need, I'll scout out the situation myself. Form an ambush on both sides of the Autumn Museum, but don't let anyone notice. Lon Anran's eyes lit up and she replied quickly. She kept her phone and strode towards the Autumn Museum. The Autumn Museum was different from the Lu Xiang Pavilion. It was a coffee shop, but it was also entertaining. There were many entertainment facilities, including KTV and a card room. In the deepest part of the Autumn Museum was a guest room, which was reserved for the rich. Lon Anran had changed her clothes. She was dressed maturely, with bright red lips, long brown hair, revealing clothes, and a pair of crystal shoes. She looked like a rich young woman. The moment she entered the hall, she was stopped by a security guard and the receptionist. Miss, I'm sorry, the entertainment facilities are on the right, a security guard stepped forward and said. Lon Anran took out a brown card and placed it in front of the security guard while chewing gum. The receptionist smiled. Oh, you're a distinguished member. Which private room would you like today? The members of the Autumn Museum were different from others. According to the color of the cards, they were divided into high, medium, and low levels. The high-level members could choose their private room and the facilities in the private room were excellent. There weren't many high-level members in the Autumn Museum, so there weren't many conflicts. The lower-middle class members didn't have the right to choose their private room, as the lower-middle class members were usually in the gaming area. In order to play games, Xiang Tian could only be a high-ranking member. Is there anyone else in any of these private rooms today? Lon Anran asked. Someone who could become a member of the Autumn Museum was definitely not a person to be trifled with, so she would have to deal with him carefully. There are guests in private room 306, the receptionist said respectfully. Then I want the room next to theirs, Lon Anran replied coldly, without a trace of emotion. All right, please follow me. The receptionist brought Lon Anran to private room 307. Lon Anran entered the private room and took out her equipment. The room was soundproof, so she couldn't hear a single sound through the walls. She walked around the room several times, looking for a way to connect to the other side. Next door. Rong Zhe was using a computer in his room to contact Mo Jinrong. Master Rong, there's still no news from Q, is she not coming? That's impossible. Since she accepted the mission, she must have heard the news and will definitely come. Mo Jinrong was certain. Rong Zhe sent a message to Q using his computer. How was it? Did you find Xiang Tian? He asked deliberately to test whether Q was here or not. I'm at the cafe opposite the Autumn Museum monitoring Xiang Tian. I believe there will be an outcome soon. Lon Anran didn't reveal her information. After all, the internet was virtual and no one knew each other. She couldn't trust others easily. The cafe opposite the museum. Rong Zhe looked through the window at the cafe across the street. As expected, someone was using a computer. The bait was in. He closed his computer and left the room without closing the door. The few of you, go to the cafe across the museum and catch the person playing with their computer. Lon Anren heard the commotion outside and secretly opened the door a crack to see a figure walking out. Was it Xiang Tian? Or an employer? Lon Anren didn't think too much about it and looked at the cafe out the window. Suddenly, her eyes widened. The cafe suddenly became crowded. This was indeed a trap. Rong Zhe took the lead and walked into the cafe. He stood in front of a girl playing computer games and spoke triumphantly, "Q, you've been exposed." The girl was wearing glasses and had a white collar temperament. She was frightened when she saw these people surrounding her. She said with a trembling voice, "Who are you? I didn't do anything wrong, don't arrest me, your acting is pretty good." "Q, why aren't you admitting it? What are you doing here?" Rong Zhe smiled. "I'm working, I'm a company executive. I didn't do anything, don't arrest me, I'm calling for help." The girl was pale with fright, her eyes dull and her voice trembling. "Stop pretending, we won't hurt you. As long as you agree to cooperate with us and be our partner, you can request whatever salary you'd like." Rong Zhe continued. "I don't know you, what are you talking about? I have a job, I called the police." The girl continued to tremble. Rong Zhe snatched the girl's computer and opened her email. There were some contracts and documents, but there was no sign of them being deleted or formatted. Rong Zhe frowned. This computer was too clean, it didn't seem like it belonged to a hacker. Looking at the girl's frightened eyes, he immediately understood. He had been tricked. Crap. I was tricked. Let's hurry back. Rong Zhe turned to leave. The group of people followed him and left the cafe. The people around were stunned. Damn it. As expected of Q, he was tricked. Rong Zhe returned to his room and noticed that the door next door was slightly open. Had Q been here? He pushed the door open gently and found that the sofa was still warm. Q had really been in the room beside him. He hurriedly chased after her, but there wasn't even a trace to follow. Chapter 49. Changed his mind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 49. Changed his mind. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Rong Zhe grabbed the receptionist. What did the guest in room 307 look like? When did she leave? The receptionist was confused. The person who just left was a girl. She had long hair, big eyes, and a good figure. I want to see her information. Rong Zhe was excited. I'm sorry, Mr. Rong, guest information can't be disclosed to the public. This is the rule of the Autumn Museum, the receptionist replied politely. Rong Zhe didn't say much and returned to his room. He wanted to check her information, so he hacked into the database of the Autumn Museum. But Lon Anren wouldn't give Rong Zhe such a chance. She had deleted all her information a long time ago and the information just now was fake, so Rong Zhe was destined to return empty-handed. Damn it. Rong Zhe stomped his feet in anger. He hadn't met such an opponent in a long time and was suddenly interested. He sent Lon Anren an email. You lied to me. Mister, you lied to me first. I'm only doing this to protect myself. You are Xiang Tian, right? Lon Anren guessed. You're wrong, I won't beat around the bush. If you cooperate, we will become partners and you can name your price. Rong Zhe was suddenly very interested in Q. Previously, he just wanted to help Jinro, but now, he changed his mind. He wanted Q to be his subordinate. 10 billion yuan. Lon Anren only wanted the 10 billion yuan, she wasn't interested in more. Rong Zhe thought for a moment. Q was much more valuable than 10 billion yuan, but he couldn't give her this money for nothing. Find Xiang Tian first, then I'll give it to you. He sent it with a smile. Lon Anren replied without a thought, "This is a test, but I will find him. I hope you won't go back on your word. I don't like people lying to me. Of course, but I still hope that you can be my partner. I can give you 10 billion yuan now." Rong Zhe wanted to see if Q was a greedy person. His team didn't need a greedy person, as such a person could be dangerous. Lon Anren thought for a moment. She was tempted by the 10 billion, but she would never bow down to anyone. She was just herself. "There's no need for that, I will only do my part. I will never bow down to money." Lon Anren shut her computer after this message. Rong Zhe was satisfied with this answer. This was the kind of person he needed. It was better to be friends than opponents. "Master Rong, I'm sorry, but I'm going to steal her from you. Mo family villa." "Young master," Master Zhe sent news that he was tricked and the operation failed, but he has spoken to Q. She will find Xiang Tian and then give her 10 billion yuan. Mo San reported. "Rong Zhe probably didn't do this to help me, but for himself." Mo Jinrong looked up. "Young master, I don't understand. Didn't Master Zhe accept the job to help you in the beginning? How did it turn out this way?" Mo San was confused. There aren't any opponents in the hacker world that can match Rong Zhe's skills, and it wasn't easy for him to meet such a tough opponent. This is his cup of tea. It's hard to find a woman comparable to her. "I'm afraid there will be another show to watch," Mo Jinrong spoke softly. "Young master, if Master Zhe takes Q, then the person you're looking for," Mo San hesitated. He knew how long young master had been searching for Zero. Every time his illness acted up, he would be in so much pain that he had to find Zero. "How is the matter I asked you to handle?" Mo Jinrong asked. "I've already checked the schools and there isn't anything suspicious. There isn't anything special about Miss Lon either. Her identity is clean and her schedule is simple. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary." Mo Jinrong thought for a moment. "No, there must be a problem." Mo Jinrong vaguely remembered Lon Anren's disguise and extravagance at the auction. She was definitely not an ordinary person. "You'll have to keep a close eye on Lon Anren starting tomorrow. I want to know every move she makes." "Young master, there has been some movement over there since Mr. Mo returned last time. He seems to be looking for someone to investigate Miss Lon. Would you like to warn him?" Mo San asked. "There's no need. You can't find anything, so what could he find? You just have to remind him not to go overboard." Mo Jinrong stood up, walked to the window, and looked into the distance. "Agreed." In the blink of an eye, another few days passed and Li Yueru could leave the hospital. She had wanted to go home for a long time as the hospital was making her feel like a mushroom. The family had just returned home when they saw the door open. Lon Tingyun frowned. Did a thief enter the house since they weren't here today? He picked up a brick beside the door and looked inside. Su Yenshan was helping an angry old Mrs. Lon out when the family ran into each other. "Mom, why are you here?" Li Yueru smiled. "Laugh. You can still laugh." Zhao Shumei was displeased. She had been waiting here for her second son's return. She was furious. When she saw Lon Tingyun holding a brick, she was even more furious and slapped him. Slap. Li Yueru was startled for 2 seconds before rushing forward to check on him. Chapter 50. Zhao Shumei beaten. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 50. Zhao Shumei beaten. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Mom, why did you hit him? He is an unfilial thing. Is the brick in your hand to kill me? Zhao Shumei trembled with anger. How did I raise such an unfilial thing? Mom, you're mistaken. I thought there was a thief in the house. The door was wide open and I wanted to use it to protect myself. I really didn't do it deliberately, Lan Tingyun explained. You unfilial thing. How dare you talk back? I haven't been here in days, do you think I'm dead? How dare you call me a thief? Tell me, what good things could I steal from you? Zhao Shumei's chest heaved with anger. Mom, Tingyun really didn't mean that. Li Yueru's heart ached when she saw her husband beaten down. Mom, it's embarrassing to let outsiders see us fight. We should go in and talk. Since Sister.in-law is back, her illness has only just healed. She might catch a cold again, Su Yenshan spoke kindly. Zhao Shumei calmed down, turned around, and sat in the hall. As soon as she sat down, Lan Anren walked out from behind. She had seen the scene just now. Her father was an adult and yet, she beat him up so easily. Did she not care about his reputation? Grandma, you're here just in time. Are you here to ask for money? Lan Anren sat down as well. B*****. How can you sit when I'm seated? Don't you have any manners? Do I need to tell you why I'm here? Zhao Shumei was enraged when she saw Lan Anren. Grandma opened someone else's door without their permission. This is called trespassing, you can go to jail for that. Lan Anren peeled the mandarin on the table leisurely. B*****. What are you saying? I'm a widowed old woman. Is it illegal for me to visit my unfilial son? Zhao Shumei was getting angrier. Mom, don't be angry. Yueru hasn't been well these past few days and I have been busy taking care of her in the hospital. A few days ago, she was in the intensive care unit, so I really didn't have time to visit you. I wanted to wait for Yueru to get better to see you, but you came early. Lan Tingyun's attitude was very kind. After all, she was his mother, so he couldn't say much. Well said. Second daughter-in-law, your health isn't good. Why are you always sick? It wouldn't be good if news spreads that my daughter-in-law is a sickly child. Zhao Shumei was disgusted. Mom, I've been working overtime too much and will be better after some rest. Don't worry. Li Yueru was very polite. Grandma isn't worried, she only cares about money. How much do you want today? Lan Anren didn't believe Zhao Shumei's words. Her mother had been hospitalized for such a long time and hadn't seen her make a phone call or show her face. That being said, when she ran out of money at the end of the month, she took the initiative to come over. You insolent thing! How dare you speak to me in such a manner? You must be itching for a beating. If I don't teach you a lesson today, you won't know the rules. Zhao Shumei glanced at Lan Tingyun and his wife. They couldn't bear to hit a child. Don't stop me today, I'm going to teach her a lesson. Yenshan, slap her. Su Yenshan looked troubled and she pretended to be constipated as she walked forward. Mom, this isn't good, who dares to hit my child? Li Yueru was usually an agreeable person and was very humble in front of old Mrs. Lan. Today, hearing that someone was going to hit her child, she couldn't tolerate it. She already felt that she owed her daughter, so how could she allow her to be bullied again? Li Yueru, what daughter did you give birth to? She doesn't just jinx people, she also goes against her elders. What do you need such an unfilial thing for? She won't know the Lan family's rules if she isn't taught a lesson. Zhao Shumei slammed the table and roared. Mom, don't be angry. That wasn't what Anren meant. Anren, apologize to Grandma, Lan Tingyun hurriedly explained. Grandma, am I right? You're angry because you're embarrassed. Grandma is a doctor too, she must know the saying that the crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. It means that our ancestors inherited these morals, Lan Anren spoke unhurriedly. Zhao Shumei's face turned green with anger. Wasn't she indirectly scolding her for having low morals? You're rebelling, you brat. I'll teach you a lesson today. She raised her hand, wanting to slap her, but suddenly. Lon Anren reacted quickly and a slap landed hard on Zhao Shumei's face, producing a loud sound. Slap. Everyone was dumbfounded and Zhao Shumei was stunned. In the entire Lon family, or even the entire medical field, who would dare to lay a finger on her? You dare to hit me? Zhao Shumei couldn't believe her eyes. She had lived for so long, but was beaten by a little girl. You acted first, I was just defending myself. Lon Anren sounded helpless when she said that. You. Lon Anren, you dare to hit your grandma. Mom, let me help you vent your anger. Su Yenshan was furious. This was a good opportunity for revenge. She had just walked in front of Lon Anren and before she could react, Lon Anren stretched out one leg and Su Yenshan tripped, falling to the ground. The heels of her high heels were broken. Ah! Auntie, the quality of your shoes aren't very good. Don't wear such lousy shoes again. Didn't Grandma give you a lot of money? Lon Anren picked up the ruined high heels mockingly and yanked the heels right off. Her high heels became flats. Su Yenshan was furious. This was humiliating. Mom, this child, she couldn't take it anymore and could only look for Zhao Shumei. You unfilial and rebellious thing. I'll teach you a lesson myself. Zhao Shumei was over 60 and had a strong body. She was a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and was good at maintaining her appearance. Her foundation was pretty good. She walked forward and was just about to raise her walking stick when Lon Anren suddenly pushed her with her arm and old Mrs. Lon fell. You can't blame me, Grandma, this was your scam. Lon Anren was dissatisfied.